Let me ask you something that might sound simple on the surface, but it cuts to the core of your health. How often do you feel tired? Not just sleepy, but deeply, persistently fatigued. The kind of tired that seeps into your bones, that lingers even after a full night's rest, that makes small tasks feel like uphill climbs. Most people brush this off. They say, I'm just getting older, or I didn't sleep well last night. But what if that fatigue wasn't a product of age or routine stress? What if your heart, your body's most faithful engine, was quietly asking for help? Here's the truth. Chronic, unexplained fatigue is one of the most overlooked early warning signs of heart disease. And it doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't always come with chest pain or dramatic shortness of breath. Instead, it whispers. It slows you down gradually. And because we're so conditioned to expect heart issues to be loud and sudden, we miss the quiet signs until it's too late. Fatigue at its core is a reflection of energy imbalance. Your body's cells rely on oxygen-rich blood to create energy. When your heart is functioning properly, it delivers this blood like a reliable postal service, on time, to the right place, every time. But when the heart begins to falter even slightly, that delivery system becomes compromised. It's like trying to run a factory on half power. The lights stay on, the machines hum along, but nothing works quite right. You feel sluggish, you feel dull. You're not sick in the traditional sense, but you're not well either. Now here's where the psychology becomes important. Many people, especially over 60, internalize this fatigue as a normal part of aging. They adopt the mindset, well, this is just what happens when you get older. But the dangerous part of that assumption is that it normalizes dysfunction. It convinces people to ignore a warning light that is flashing on the dashboard of their health. And here's the real philosophical challenge. We live in a culture that celebrates pushing through. We glorify hustle, perseverance, endurance. So when your body starts to slow down, there's a temptation to override the signals. You drink more coffee, you skip the walk. You push past your body's very real limits because you're afraid that acknowledging them might make you appear weak or fragile. But true strength, especially as we age, doesn't come from ignoring the body. It comes from listening to it, respecting it, working with it, not against it. Let's take a closer look at the physiology for a moment. When the heart isn't pumping blood efficiently, what we call reduced cardiac output, your muscles, brain, and organs don't get the oxygen and nutrients they need to function. This triggers a kind of cellular starvation. Your muscles feel heavy. Your mind feels foggy. Even routine activities like cooking, walking the dog, or climbing stairs begin to take more effort. This kind of fatigue is not just tired. It is your cells struggling to do their job with limited fuel. And it's not just physical. Fatigue can bleed into your emotional life as well. When your energy is consistently low, your mood follows. You become more irritable, more withdrawn. Social engagements feel like burdens. And suddenly, what started as a small decline in energy becomes a cascade, a withdrawal from life itself. That's why early recognition is so critical, because fatigue is often the first domino to fall in a longer chain of decline. But here's the good news. Fatigue is also reversible if you catch it early, if you take it seriously, if you don't accept it as your new normal. Simple diagnostic tools like an EKG, an echocardiogram, or even a blood test to assess markers of heart strain can help determine whether your heart is at the root of the problem. And if it is, there are real solutions. Lifestyle changes, medications, even targeted exercises that can restore your energy, protect your heart, and dramatically improve your quality of life. You don't have to live in a state of slow, silent depletion. You don't have to normalize exhaustion. You are not just getting old. You are experiencing a biological shift that deserves attention, care, and action. Let this be the moment you start listening to your fatigue, not with fear, but with curiosity. What is your body trying to tell you? What parts of your health have you dismissed as just aging that might in fact be something more? Because the truth is, fatigue isn't always a symptom of doing too much. Sometimes it's the first sign that your heart is doing too little. Don't ignore that whisper. It may be the most important message your body sends. Pay attention to what your fatigue is telling you, because the sooner you listen, the longer and stronger your heart can carry you forward. Let's talk about something many people never think to associate with their heart, your jaw, specifically jaw pain. It sounds strange at first. After all, when you think of heart disease, the symptoms that come to mind are usually dramatic chest pain or breathlessness, maybe even collapse. But the truth is, the human body is far more interconnected and subtle than we often give it credit for. And jaw discomfort, especially when it occurs during exertion or emotional stress, can be a red flag that your heart is under serious strain. Here's what's fascinating. The nerves that supply the heart and the jaw are closely connected. The heart doesn't always cry out for help in obvious ways. Instead, it can radiate its distress through nearby structures. This is known as referred pain. It's a phenomenon where pain is felt in an area of the body that isn't actually the source. In the case of cardiac ischemia, when the heart muscle is not getting enough blood, this discomfort can show up in the left arm, shoulder, neck, and yes, the jaw. Now for men, this kind of pain might still register as something to worry about, though they may dismiss it if it feels vague or inconsistent. But for women, especially women over the age of 60, jaw pain is even more likely to be brushed aside. That's because heart disease presents differently in women. It often masquerades as indigestion, back pain, or unexplained fatigue. So when a woman experiences tightness in her jaw, she might think it's a dental issue, maybe TMJ, maybe just stress. And unfortunately, this leads to misdiagnoses. Precious time is lost. Let's go a little deeper. Think about the symbolism of pain in the jaw. It's literally at the edge of communication. It's discomfort where we speak, where we chew, where we carry much of our daily tension. Philosophically, we could say the body is trying to speak what we're refusing to acknowledge consciously. There's something profound about that. Your heart is trying to say, I'm struggling, but instead of shouting from the chest, it's murmuring from your jawline. Medically, this warning sign becomes even more important when it is linked to activity. If you notice pain or tightness in your jaw when climbing stairs, walking briskly, or dealing with emotional tension, then easing once you rest, this is not random. This is your body creating a pattern, a rhythm of communication, and we too often ignore the rhythm. We must also understand that this symptom may not appear in isolation. Sometimes it's coupled with mild nausea, lightheadedness, or a sense of unease. Not outright fear, but something feels off. These subtle signs are part of the body's intelligent warning system, and they deserve our attention. Yet we tend to wait for drama. We wait for collapse before we respond. That mindset, especially after 60, is dangerous. There's also a psychological layer to this. Many of us have been taught to tough it out, especially older generations. You've been through real hardship, you've learned not to complain, and so when discomfort arises, whether it's fatigue, jaw pain, or a racing heartbeat, your instinct might be to minimize it, to say, it's probably nothing. But here's the truth. Real strength lies not in ignoring pain, but in honoring it. By paying attention to these subtle cues, you empower yourself. You give your physician the opportunity to catch heart disease early when it's most treatable. Simple tools like a stress test, an EKG, or coronary calcium scan can provide clarity. Sometimes the difference between a life-saving intervention and a tragic outcome is simply the courage to speak up and say, something feels wrong and I want to understand it. And let me say this. If you're someone who has been feeling a strange, vague ache in the jaw, especially during activity, don't dismiss it. Don't push through. Bring it up. Tell your doctor. Mention it to someone. Because your heart may be reaching for help in the only way it knows how, through the language of the body. You don't need to wait for chest pain to take your health seriously. Sometimes the smallest whisper from your body is the most urgent one. Your jaw may ache, not because of tension, not because of a tooth, but because your heart is struggling to keep up. The most dangerous symptoms are often the quietest. Listen closely. Trust your body's wisdom. Speak up before it's too late. Let's shift our attention to something that might seem harmless at first glance. Chronic fatigue. Not just being tired after a long day or a poor night's sleep, but that deeper exhaustion that feels like it seeps into your bones. The kind where you wake up tired, stay tired, and go to bed still wondering where your energy went. It's easy to chalk it up to aging, stress, or maybe just poor sleep habits. But what many people don't realize, especially those over 60, is that this kind of fatigue can be one of the most overlooked signs of heart disease. See, your heart is an engine, and like any engine, it needs fuel, oxygen, and efficiency. When the heart starts to struggle, when the arteries narrow, when the oxygen supply dwindles, when the pump weakens, it compensates in subtle ways. It may not give you the dramatic warning signs we associate with cardiac issues. There might be no chest pain, no clutching at the left arm. Instead, the body just slows down. You find yourself cutting activities short. You might avoid long walks, not because your legs hurt, but because the effort just feels like too much. You skip social outings. You nap more often. You may even lose interest in things you once loved, not because you don't care anymore, but because your body just doesn't have the energy to participate. Now here's what's both fascinating and deeply concerning. The mind will create rational explanations to protect you from worry. It's just old age. I've been under a lot of stress lately. Maybe I just need more sleep. We're wired to normalize symptoms that gradually sneak into our lives. And when it comes to heart disease, that normalization can be dangerous. Fatigue related to heart disease is different from regular tiredness. It's persistent, it's unrelenting, and it's often worse during periods of activity. Times when your heart should be increasing its output, but instead can't keep up with demand. That inefficiency causes a mismatch between what your body wants and what your heart can deliver. From a physiological standpoint, think of your blood as the vehicle for oxygen and nutrients. If your heart can't pump that blood effectively because of blocked arteries, a weak left ventricle, or an irregular rhythm, then every organ, every muscle, every cell gets shortchanged. The brain feels foggy. The muscles feel heavy. Even digestion slows down. It's a systemic fatigue. But this is more than just a physical issue. It's also deeply psychological. When fatigue takes over, it chips away at your motivation, your joy, your identity. We define ourselves by what we can do. When your energy drops, your world shrinks. And that shrinking world can lead to depression, withdrawal, and an even deeper lack of vitality. It becomes a cycle. Less activity leads to more weakness, which leads to more fatigue, which leads to less activity again. This is where perspective becomes essential. Aging is not supposed to feel like a slow fade into powerlessness. Yes, the body changes. Yes, recovery takes longer. But extreme, persistent fatigue is not a normal part of aging. It's a signal, a message from your heart that it's not getting what it needs, and neither are you. Many people live for months or even years with undiagnosed heart failure or coronary artery disease, simply because their only symptom was, I'm tired all the time. But once the heart is supported, whether through medication, dietary changes, exercise, or procedures, energy often returns. The light comes back into the eyes. The voice becomes stronger. The spark of life, once dulled by invisible struggle, reignites. There's something beautiful about that because it shows us that fatigue isn't weakness. It's a form of communication. Your body isn't betraying you. It's asking for help. And the sooner we recognize that fatigue is more than just tiredness, the sooner we stop brushing it off, the sooner we can intervene and give the heart what it truly needs. We have to reframe our understanding of aging and energy. You're not supposed to feel drained by midday. You're not supposed to give up hobbies or isolate yourself because your body can't keep up. These are not signs of a tired personality. They're signs of a tired pump. So if you or someone you love has been struggling with this slow, persistent exhaustion, don't write it off. Don't push through. Pay attention. Talk to your doctor. Get your heart evaluated. Sometimes the most life-saving discoveries come not from a dramatic crisis, but from listening to the quiet, consistent whispers of your body asking for care. Your energy is your lifeline. If it's fading, don't assume it's age. Assume it's a message. Honor it, act on it, and protect the life force that still burns within you. Let's talk about a symptom that rarely gets the attention it deserves. Persistent nausea or indigestion. Now I know when most people think of heart disease, the gut is the last place their mind goes. We're trained to look for dramatic signs like chest pain or shortness of breath, but the body doesn't always play by textbook rules. Especially after the age of 60, the signals your heart sends may show up in unexpected ways. And the digestive system often becomes the unsuspecting messenger. Here's why this happens. The heart and digestive tract share more in common than you might think. Both rely on steady blood flow. Both are wired tightly to the autonomic nervous system, the part of your body that governs involuntary actions like heartbeat, gut movement, and hormone release. When the heart is under strain due to narrowed arteries, poor circulation, or silent ischemia, it can trigger a cascade of reactions throughout the body. And sometimes those reactions mimic gastrointestinal distress. Many older adults experience unexplained nausea, bloating, or a feeling of fullness long before chest pain ever appears. Some feel as if they've eaten too much, even when they haven't. Others get frequent heartburn or a gnawing discomfort in the upper abdomen that doesn't respond to usual antacids. These symptoms are often dismissed or self-medicated. I must have eaten something bad. Maybe it's just reflux. It's probably my gallbladder. But what if it's your heart whispering for help? Now, I want to be very clear. Indigestion and nausea aren't always signs of a heart problem. They can have dozens of benign causes. But when these symptoms are persistent, unusual, or accompanied by things like fatigue, dizziness, or shortness of breath, they deserve closer attention. Especially in women, the elderly, and people with diabetes, these signs often replace the classic crushing chest pain we expect in a heart attack. This is what makes this particular symptom so dangerous. It's subtlety. It doesn't frighten you. It doesn't stop you in your tracks. It irritates you just enough to ignore. And therein lies the trap. Because while you're reaching for ginger tea or blaming your diet, plaque may be quietly building in your arteries, narrowing the passageways that deliver life-sustaining oxygen to your heart muscle. The psychological impact here is worth mentioning too. When a person repeatedly feels discomfort but receives no clear diagnosis, they may start to question their instincts. They begin to doubt their bodies, chalk it up to anxiety, or stop seeking help altogether. This internal conflict, feeling something is wrong but being told everything looks fine, can erode a person's confidence and delay essential treatment. The very thing your body is trying to communicate gets lost in a fog of medical ambiguity. So how do we distinguish ordinary digestive upset from something more serious? It comes down to patterns. Is this nausea or indigestion new? Is it tied to exertion? Does it come and go without explanation? Does it make you feel lightheaded, sweaty, or unusually tired? Do you feel better when resting? These are the questions that begin to unlock the deeper story behind your symptom. We must also look at the context of your overall health. If you're over 60 and have risk factors like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, a family history of heart disease, or a sedentary lifestyle, even the smallest changes in your body warrant attention. Your body speaks a language. Nausea isn't just a sensation, it's information. The question is, are you listening? One of the most profound truths I've learned in medicine is that the body rarely lies. It tells the truth in its own way, but that truth isn't always loud or obvious. It often whispers before it screams. And indigestion, as a heart symptom, is one of those whispers. You have to be quiet enough and brave enough to hear it. Now, I know this isn't easy. We live in a world that rewards pushing through discomfort. We're told not to complain, not to overreact, but I want to flip that idea on its head. Tuning into your body isn't overreacting, it's wisdom. It's the ultimate form of self-respect. And for those of us beyond 60, that wisdom becomes our greatest asset. You've lived long enough to know when something isn't right. Don't let convenience or self-doubt silence that knowing. If persistent indigestion, nausea, or upper abdominal discomfort has become part of your daily life, don't ignore it. Talk to your doctor. Ask the hard questions. Rule out these serious causes before assuming it's something minor. Because the most dangerous symptom is not the one that hurts, it's the one that hides. And heart disease is a master at hiding in plain sight. Catching it early may not just save your heart, it may save your life. So when your body speaks in quiet discomfort, don't dismiss it. Lean in, listen, act. Your heart may be telling you more than you realize, and it's always better to know than to guess.